What is up, Gamer Army? Welcome back to Psycho Gamer. I'm your host, Aubrey, and today we are going to do something a little different rather than just talking about Arcade 1-Up and some of their actual games that are coming out. Today, we're actually going to do a computer build. My old computer, it was a little bit outdated. I had an i7 7700K processor in there, and it had an ASRock motherboard. I think it's a 270. So it was a little bit time for me to actually do an upgrade. So today we're going to build this beast back behind me. I know you're going to be wondering where a couple of the parts are, but I guarantee you that I have all of them available to actually do an install. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe and turn on the post notifications. We're going to get into it right after this. Welcome back. Like I said, guys, before, we are going to be doing a full new computer build with a couple of these new Asus Tough Gaming Gundam components in terms of the case as well as the motherboard that they released. It's kind of a small motherboard, so you're going to actually notice that based off of other ones I'm sure you guys have already built in the past. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. Hope you guys enjoyed that little video by Asus that I played just a second ago. There are a lot of really good components, from graphics cards to cases to monitors, cooling systems. Obviously you saw the motherboard. So there's a lot of really cool stuff out there. I'm going to try to post a link down below so that you guys can go check some of this stuff out on your own. But without further ado, here's the build. All right, welcome back again. Now, like I said, we're going to go ahead and jump into this build. So you're going to see the cameras move around a little more than I normally am used to. So I apologize if the angles aren't the best. I'm going to try my best to make you see what I'm seeing. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do 2 sticks of PC4 3200 memory when it comes to DDR4 memory, Vengeance LPX. You can find these generally at your local Best Buy for probably about $90 or so. So they're not super expensive. We're going to go ahead and put one of the AMD 5800X processors in here. So this is actually a little bit hard to get a hold of. You can't really find them in all stores right now, but it's not necessarily impossible to find these things, but you still can. Average retail is about $450 for these ones. Obviously, our graphics card is going to be one of the more expensive pieces of it. So we already had this one, but we are going to be putting the RTX 3070 EVGA black graphics card in this particular build. Over here, we are going full-on Gundam with this particular build. We're going to have the case that you're seeing right here. So this is the Tough Gaming GT301 by Asus. Really, really nice looking case. I actually really liked the look of it. I am upgrading from a Cooler Master Half X case. It is a full-size case, so I'm going down to a mid-size case. Why? Because I really never took full advantage of all of the room that I needed when it came to this particular case. So I'm going over to this one just to kind of save myself a little bit of room. Motherboard wise, we are also going with the B550M by Asus as well. It's Tough Gaming, but this is also another Gundam item. So they did release a couple of items here. They do also have an Intel one that you can find around online. It's about $300 to $350 for that particular motherboard. This one, it retails somewhere between $250 somewhere in there. I paid more around the $250 range. So I just want to also give a shout out to my guys over at Silver Knights on Bragg Boulevard in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I got all these parts directly from them. Walked out with them today, other than the graphics card. So I do appreciate you guys setting me up with all this. Cooling, we are going to go with the Corsair H60 liquid cooler. It's not a gigantic case. I don't know if I'm going to have enough room for 2 of the 120 millimeter fans, but I am going to go with just a single one right here, and I think that's going to be more than sufficient. Now, in terms of power supply, I kind of take the power supply out of my old computer. We are going to do, was it a GS800? We are going to do a GS800 power supply by Corsair as well. It's a little bit of a dated one, but it is still a really good power supply. Now, am I good at wire management? No, I'm horrible at wire management. Now, hard drive wise, I am going to be putting a PNY 240 gigabyte solid state drive in here. No, I don't have any M.2s. I would love to do an M.2, but for this build, money was kind of a factor in this case. On top of those, well, as you can see, there's going to be a little bit limited room, so I apologize if things are a mess. But again, my wire management sucks, so don't hold me to it being beautiful on the inside. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it now. There's my work area. Yes, I know my microphone is going to be kind of in the way, so I'm going to kind of move it off to the side here. So, I have not done a full build in a little while. I've mostly just been kind of upgrading any kind of computer I've already had. So I've got all your nice packing foam in here. My desk is generally a mess, but I do try to clean it up. But it does happen, unfortunately. Now, I wish I had a nice big open area, kind of like Linus from Linus Tech Tips has, but unfortunately, I don't have that luxury or that space to really work with. I do apologize if you hear any kind of helicopters going overhead. I live right off a military base, and they're doing all of their stuff tonight, of course, probably just before the hurricane starts coming in. All right. Ooh. All right. Look at that guy right there. Well, that actually looks really, really nice if you guys can see that. It's definitely metal. You got the tempered glass there, Zeon Principality of Zeon. If you're a Gundam person, you would definitely appreciate this particular build right here because it's going to have Zaku 2 on the front. Now, one thing about this case is that it does not have any kind of room in the front to do any kind of CD or DVD drive or anything to that extent, unfortunately. But there is enough room. It's kind of tight in there. Let's get my screwdriver. Got some nice little stuff on the inside here. Tempered glass. It's got some weight to it, so that's always a good thing. It means it's definitely not cheaply made. So we got all your extra wires and cables. I'm not sure what this is all about. The 301, I'm assuming. Must connect somewhere up here just to kind of look cool, I guess. Alright, how does this go on? You got 3 big fans here. You got one, looks like maybe a 140 millimeter fan on the back here. That's where I'm actually going to put my cooler there. I do have enough room to put a couple extras on the top up here, which does actually have some pretty thick magnets compared to some of the other ones I've seen. But there would be enough room if I wanted to have put a dual fan all-in-one, or AIO, as some people will call it, in here. So let's get some of this stuff from inside this case here. Let's strip some junk wire out. So to kind of look at the case and see where this is going to go. I'm assuming it's going to go somewhere like right up here on the top, or I don't know. Kind of a cool looking little thing though. So we got other things all wired in here. Most likely I'm going to have to take the back off here, which there's no problem doing that. So I just have to keep track of all these nice little screws. However, they're not fully coming off, so. Alright, let's see what we got in the back. Alright, we got you get different controllers. These are all your fans, so that's a plus. So you get all your instruction manual. You got all of your extra wires for all your fans. And you got some zip ties in here, a whole crap ton of screws. So that's always a good thing to have extra screws. I pretty much have a whole baggie full of extra screws from my years and years of working on computers. But first thing I think I'm going to want to put in here though is what we got here. So let's pull all these nice looking little wires out of here. Gonna untie this. And you got lots of other, guessing that's maybe a graphics card supporting bracket. I don't know, I'll have to look at the actual documentation, because documentation is always good when it comes to building a computer, that you're making sure you're putting everything in the correct area. So like I said, I'm not 100% sure on this thing right here, on really either of them. Do you have enough room here for, looks like 2 solid state drives? You have a couple bays here for some regular hard drives, which I will have at least 1 hard drive I'm going to put in there. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my power supply. I just had to clean it up. Because as you can see, it is a GS800. But as you can also see, look at that massive amount of wires. So this is why I probably am in need of getting a new power supply of some sort. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. Still got a little bit of dust in here from when I cleaned it up just a little while ago. Yes. Very dusty. Very dusty. I don't know if you guys can see that dust, but that's why you got to clean your computers pretty frequently, because you do get a lot of dust buildup when it comes to these particular machines. Ooh, this is going to be kind of a tight fit in here, guys. How am I going to do this? Going up is not the way it's going to go down. Which, boy, that's a lot of wires. Yep, that's exactly how they wanted me to do it. I got my extra screws here so I can get it put into place. I would be live streaming this, however, the computer I do all my live streaming on is going to be, well, this. It has been taken, the other computer, the main part has been taken apart, so just little bits of dust still in here. But you always want to have some sort of a clean area. As you can see, there's a lot of dust still coming out of that thing. And I already hit it pretty hard when it came to dusting it. So how many of you guys have actually built a computer? How many of you think that it is really hard to build a computer? Don't be afraid. It's actually easier than a lot of people think. I mean, as long as you get all the parts and you put them in the right places. That's another reason why you dust your stuff. It's because it will make you sneeze. All right, come on, get in there. I always want to make sure these are all nice and snug. All right, now what? All right, so one of the things I'm going to want to try to do, I want to prep myself for my cooling system here, because I will need to go in this and make sure I get all the right connectors here. So the connectors that, unfortunately, I actually had to buy this a second time because I threw all my AMD connectors out. I did not realize I was going to be making an AMD build. So, yay me. Where are you at? So, I'd like to thank the sponsors. Oh wait, I don't have any sponsors yet. Go figure. So if you have not put together a computer with an all-in-one cooling system, it's actually not that hard. Got screws, got connectors, that's it. Alright. So what I need to do first, gonna move this guy out of the way. With the Medusa's head of wires. Alright. Canned air is a great thing to have. Okay, if these brackets are like the other one was, one is going to be for Intel, which if I'm not mistaken, this particular one was for the Intel processors. And then I think these are for your AMDs. But let's double check with our paperwork. Intel. And now we have the AMD ones. Actually, it looks like it's just, oh, I never put that Intel one in. I guess it is just going to be this one. That is going to be the AMD one. That's going to be your bracket for that to keep it in place. Alright, let's see what we got in here. Oh, it's got the wireless antenna because it does have Wi-Fi built into it, which we will not be using. Now this is a small form factor motherboard. This is a super small form factor motherboard. Let's see what we got in here. Alright, we got your motherboard. Got your I/O faceplate, Zaku 2 all over it. Extra SATA cable that we really don't need because I got a billion of those already. Okay, sticker. And have your certificate of reliability from Asus. You have some cool looking, looks like cards and stickers. So that's kind of cool. We have all your paperwork that's in a different language. And we have our motherboard software that we're not going to be able to use because there is no CD/DVD drive in this computer. So, set this back in the box. And as most computer builders know, you use your box as your building platform. If you do not know that, well, now you do. Oh, that is nice. That is a small motherboard. My goodness. Got one PCI, looks like 4. Then you have your 16s. That's or I'm sorry, that's a PCIe 1, not PCIe 4. That's my bad. So it's actually really, really cool. Just have to figure how this is supposed to go into place. But it's all good. So let's look and see how this bracket is supposed to actually connect. We'll need to connect it to the actual computer as well. But want to make sure I don't have to do anything really crazy to make it connect. It looks like there's just a couple connectors that'll make this work. This one is a whole lot easier than the Intel based ones, it looks like. So I got a couple, I got a whole bunch of different screws and everything in here that we're really not going to be utilizing. We're really going to be using 2 little keys. And that's going to really be it. So hopefully you guys don't get bored from me doing this. So, okay, so it goes on there. And easy as that. I mean, this thing's gonna be super easy to put together. Which means I'm going to put all this back in the little baggie. take this out of the enclosure, or a little plastic bag. Gotta love the smell of new technology. New technology. It's always a great thing to smell. I kind of feel like I'm a presidential candidate when I do that, though, so never mind that. So I'm gonna go ahead and place my memory sticks inside. Let's see. Okay, those ones pop out. And generally when you put these in, you want to make sure you stagger them. So if they got different colors on the actual motherboard themselves for the memory sticks, you want to try to match them up. Again, if you've never built a gaming computer or a computer in general, it's not hard, it just takes time to do it. Alright, so memory is in place. Where is my other important piece? That is the processor. AMD processors are a little bit different than your Intel ones because these are actually going to have pins on the processor themselves. Your Intel processors, in many cases, they are kind of flat. So one thing you really do not want to do when it comes to these particular processors is bend any of these pins. If you bend any of these pins, it could be a matter of it not working, it could be a matter of it shorting out, arcing out, or you going to the store and paying $300 or $400 to buy another processor. Now they generally have a particular direction, like a little arrow, and you want to match that up with a little arrow that's on the actual motherboard itself. So if you see right here, you got your Ryzen processor, really nice because it zooms in, and you can see all the small little pins on this particular processor. So just make sure I get it in the right way the first time, and it drops right into place. If you have to force it in, there's either something blocking it or you've bent a pin. So try to make sure that it just drops right into place. If it doesn't, then you may have it facing the wrong direction, but then you take the little handle there and then you pop it right into place. Easy as that. It is now set. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move this back out of the way. Once again, I'm going to put the cabinet back up here. We are going to put the cooler in place and get all of our Intel stuff out of the way because we really don't need that for this particular build. We do want to keep these. Just add this to the pile over on the side. All right, guys. Just going to set you over here, out of the way. So that's one thing you're also going to find. You have a lot of trash. You have a lot of trash when it comes to building your computer. So your processor is out of the way. I'll have to find a way to move these all around because actually there's a sticker somewhere around here, I believe. Which that will also go on the front of my computer. So I can boast about what I've got. All right. Out of the way. And you always want to try to put it sideways and make sure this is actually all connected in place. Now, one thing a lot of people don't realize is on the bottom of a lot of these computers, they actually have filters in there too. So if you didn't know that, well, now you do. Okay. So this top fan is most likely going to be coming off unless I want to put the fan facing up. I may just keep that as it is, maybe put the vent up here at the top. But let's see how this is going to fit in here first. Am I going to have to move anything? Well, let's put the actual faceplate in here first before we really do anything. So some people will ask, what does this little faceplate do? Well, it makes it so there's no gaps between the motherboard and the outside of the computer itself. Okay. So I've got to add a couple things. Let me see where I put my bag of goodies. Nope, not that bag. Bag of screws. Actually, I don't need a bag of screws. I just need to move a couple of these studs. And, well, I'm not moving those studs because they are in place. They're not moving anywhere. Let's see, did they come with any extra studs? I'm hoping they did. I'm not seeing any extra studs in here. There's no extra studs. Okay, 1 second, guys. Well, I find that very odd they didn't come with any more connectors. Unless these are them. No, those can't be them. Well, I might have to harvest them from my old computer. At least a couple of them. So that's one good thing about still having an older computer around is you can still take parts out of it. Alright. I think I just need 2. Is it just 2? Oh, there's a third one. But there's not a third gap, not a third hole. All right, let's look at this fitment again. There we go. All right. I guess I didn't need to get all 3 of those, but as you're going to see, these give a lot of screws. Let's see if I got the right one. Oh, that doesn't seem like this is the right one. You have a whole bunch of different screws. You just got to get the right one in place. There we go. All right. Now we're just going to be tightening down the motherboard here. That's one that does not have a screw point, but there's actually no place to actually put it in. Sometimes you will find cases and motherboards having one that doesn't actually have a spot to screw down. And sometimes you get the wrong one. That does not want to screw down right. Screw these just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of room to wiggle. There we go. That's a little better. A little more snug. As long as it doesn't move, that's the important thing. Alright. That's tight. You're watertight. Now, also some people will use an anti-static bracelet for building these computers, which there's nothing wrong with using an anti-static bracelet. However, if you are able to ground yourself down, basically by touching the metal portions of the actual computer, generally you're going to be okay. So now I need to look at this cooling system and see the best possible way to do this. I'm probably going to have to take that off. And here's where all the fun comes into play. Because you don't want to do this stuff. Well, I gotta get that wire out first. What wire, you ask? Well, it should be a power cord coming right through here. Now, what can I do with that fan? I could always take that fan and connect it up top, so it's actually going to give me better airflow, which most likely that is what I'm going to end up doing. So like I said, this computer is going to have the ability to connect wirelessly or with a wire. Now, if you know anything about internet connection, you guys know that most gamers, if you can get away with it, don't do wireless. Why? Well, because it actually can kill up to about 50% of your internet speed. So if you're like right beside your router, or you have a wire that can reach your router from your computer or your game console, that's generally the better way to go about connecting it. Do I want to do that right now? Yeah, let's do it. I'll do that after. So, it's been a minute since I connected one of these, so I can't remember which way is which in terms of how the fan goes. Okay, those are your case screws. So these are going to have 4 screws that are going to come through. They're going to go from the fan right into the actual radiator itself. I'm going to put these screws off to the side for that fan, and I scratched my table. Oh well. So is this an amazing table? No, it is not an amazing table. Why? Well, it's one of those cheap little Walmart ones that you could get for $100, $150. You could literally take your nail and just scratch down it and scratch some paint off. So there is your nice little Corsair looking fan there. Which in the case of this, you're going to have to find 4 ports for your fan. So most likely it's going to be right there under the one that's titled, well, CPU fan. Again, my wire management is probably going to be pretty atrocious, so be kind with your words, please. Alright, here is your other cooling system here. I'm going to put this in, most likely like this. That's how the placement is, it looks like. Now, if I recall putting this thing in, I hated this thing because it did not want to fully line up like I wanted it to. And I set my screwdriver down right behind me. Put all the rest of these So the nice thing about these all-in-one cooling systems is you don't really have to do any maintenance to them. These are not like those ones that you see people build with like a couple $1,000 just because they can. But hey, we're not looking at, I'm not looking at doing Minecraft or anything like that. Which is why I have a nasty 3070 graphics card. I am doing some gaming, yes. True, I am. But I'm also doing my video editing for you guys as well. Now this is a different recording because this is going on my cell phone. There's always one that doesn't want to go in like it should. At least initially. Alright, so we've got everything we need here. Got these nifty little things. We have our bracket for our cooling system here. I probably could have done the top ways, but I don't think I necessarily need to do the top ways. However, they wanted me to actually do the actual bracket itself. I think it actually shows I actually did it right. Yay! So, but the way this thing is laid out for AMD, put on top. I don't understand that. Oh, I see. Yes, I understand now. I'm gonna put these underneath like so. Gonna kind of get this in the right position and screw it all in. And I do that for both sides, wherever the other one went. Okay, whatever. Probably rolled and fell on the floor somewhere. But we're going to do this for both sides, because what they're going to do is they're going to go under this little lip on right around the processor, like right in this little area that you're seeing right there. Okay, and it's not going to be super tightened down because we don't have enough room to put it in there. Alright, so this, we're going to take the power cable and put it out of the way. Oh, it just magnetically slides right in there. That's awesome. Alright, so nice thing about these particular things too is they already have thermal paste on them. That white stuff going all the way around there, that's what's called thermal paste. If you're not familiar with thermal paste, what it does is it makes it so it doesn't arc out, because metal on metal and you have electricity going through it, it normally isn't very good. Especially when this is going to be kept nice and cool, because these hoses are going to keep that fluid going through. It's like a radiator of a car. Just gotta get these little bracket things to go under. There you go, like so. You gotta do it on both sides. And then you want to screw it down. You want to make it nice and snug, so that thermal paste makes a good connection across the entire processor. If not, parts of your processor may not be coated or covered correctly. And you really don't want to have that. Sometimes these are going to have little plastic things like I'll just leave it on there. And a lot of times they have it where you can take it off and it has like just extra protection coating. You also want to make sure you plug this in as well. This one's going to be 3 pins. So it's going to go right like so. Like here, here. Yes, yes. Alright, so now we have that portion of it connected. Now, we have to connect all these other little goodies. We also have to put our hard drives into the actual computer itself. So I'm going to go ahead and do all that, and then I'm going to come back to you guys because that's just kind of monotonous stuff. Things you got to make sure you plug in your main wire to actually power your motherboard. You have your SATA ports here for your hard drives and any other connectors you might need. And you have all these other ports for USB ports and any other connectors like maybe fans and lights and things like that. So stay tuned, guys. I'll be back. Alright guys, as you can see, I actually have the computer fully together now. Now, like I said, my wire management kind of stinks, but the wires are stretched pretty tight with some of these ones. That wire, I could relocate it. I just haven't, and I'm being lazy right now and don't necessarily want to go pulling and prodding through it, but I may still fix those up. That fan that I actually took from right here, I've actually placed it up here at the very top, so it's going to blow that air out because you want to have that good air coming from the front, and you want to be able to push the air out either at the top or out the back generally. Now, because I have that cooler on there, it might make it a little more difficult or a little more interesting when it comes to this particular build. Am I going to show you the back side of it? No, I will not, because you will judge me very, very badly. That's all I can really say. But, you know, this computer build has actually worked really, really well. I have already connected it. I think I might need to do a BIOS update because the memory is not reading at the correct clock. This is 3200 speed memory and it's only running at 2166. So I've got to figure out what the issue is with that. So most likely it's going to be a firmware update for the BIOS. Alright guys, here you go. This is the final product of the Asus Zaku build. Now, there are more components that Asus does sell, such as a liquid cooler. They have a 27-inch monitor. They also have a router. So the build actually looks quite nice, and as you can see, my nice little Rode setup right there as well. You actually have the ability to press a button on the actual top of the desktop itself, so you can actually change the RGB lighting for it, which is kind of cool. I mean, I don't really see myself changing it too much. I could make it just a solid blue color, but you can see the lights kind of changing in there as it is, as well as a reflection of my television back there. But hopefully you guys really liked this build. Maybe you thought it was informative. Maybe you guys are just really big Gundam or computer building fans, or a little bit of both. But give me a thumbs up if you really liked the video. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe if you really have not subscribed to the channel yet, which hopefully this will make you guys want to stick around a little bit, even though it is kind of a long-winded channel. Even though it is kind of a long-winded video. But as most of you know that have built computers, it takes time to build these things. So I appreciate you guys coming out to watch the video. And as always, guys, from the bottom of my heart, I wish you guys a safe day and game on.